Hello, guys. Hello. Yes, this is Spirit Journey. I was just trying to set up my station here. And yes, this is Spirit Journey. And what another wonderful hello Friday. Yes, it is March 2nd, 2018. And it's about 10:11 p.m. I hope your day is going well. And I see that we have two watching now. Wonderful. And I hope everything has gone well with you today. Yeah, let me know in the chats if you could see me clearly and the audio, if I need to speak louder, anything like that, just for feedback, making sure everything is working correctly. Yes. I was also just trying to set up my computer. I wanted to uh, record this session, and I'm having a hard time trying to do open up QuickTime to record the screen, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm pressing on Finder and then try to select QuickTime, and it's not allowing me to. Oh well. So yeah. So how was your day? At least my day here was quiet, and it was snowing all day in New York City. Yep, all day. Well, my face looks shiny. Let me just brush my face. I look real shiny. Yeah, I apologize for that, but I don't like a oily face, and I have the light on. That's also what's making it look shiny. Okay, well, I don't know whether the people who are watching now this video, whether or not you saw my interview, excuse me, my interview with Mr. Tony Rodriguez, and it was my first interview on such topic of the secret space program. It was really I had a lot of fun doing it, and Mr. Rodriguez was very, very, very good at his giving it all. He really shared a lot of information. And so, with this live stream, what I want to, well, I wanted to go over, how, like after I did the interview, the interview lasted almost 4 hours. And so I wanted to like go over the video and what I really learned about it. One thing is when you're in the now and you're doing the interview and you're going with the flow, and then when you go over the material and what were your impressions, things like that. And so I thought it was important for me to go, what did I learn from this interview? Okay. And so that's what this live stream is about. So I had written down some questions, and I definitely would like your feedback. If you saw it, you could, hey, yeah, hi, Sherry. Thank you. Thank you. You say I look great. Wonderful, wonderful. And Sherry, could you hear me okay? I hope you can. Yeah. Okay. My glasses. Okay. Or it's like sometimes when you get on the camera, all of a sudden your face starts to itch and everything, and it's really a weird feeling. Wow. Well, yeah, I have my questions here. And with the interview that I did the other day, I I just really look like I had a whole series of questions, and I thought I was going to, let Mr. Rodriguez go through, say what he wants to say, initially, and then after he goes over the major points. Okay, thank you. Yeah. After he went over what he wanted to discuss, then I was going to go over my questions, and I had a lot of questions, but a lot of it in the course of just doing the interview, he answered a lot of them. So I just have a few, just three major questions that I have here. Well, not even questions, but thoughts regarding the interview. Okay, my first, my first thoughts are, let's see. Okay. Yes, so this is the post-interview thoughts. And it was about what they call the genetic compatibility with when someone is in the secret space program. Mr. Rodriguez, he mentioned that with regard to this program, that they're looking for a particular genotype, and so they wanted this genotype to be something compatible to the German genotype. And what I thought was really shocking of this genotype that's is wanted. It enables them to do the MK Ultra. And again, yeah, hi Kindred. Yes, my day went well, and welcome to the live streaming. Yes, and I did that. I was testing something earlier in the day, and so I hope some of the people don't think I'm how do you say, like, because I wasn't actually doing a live streaming early. I was just testing, and I when I'm testing something, I usually write testing 1 or testing 2, just to let the person know that this is not like a real live stream, but I'm just testing something. So I hope the people don't think that I'm doing the same thing now. So yes, you're welcome, and let your friends know, that yes, I am actually live streaming. Yes, yes, Kendrick, what I was just about to talk about is, I have some thoughts about the interview. And the first I wanted to discuss was about MK Ultra. And as Mr. Rodriguez mentioned oh, just look at my glasses. I don't want the light to really get into it. Let me position, because I don't want any the lights of the the lights of the be reflect off the glasses. It looks really funny. Let me see how. I'm just noticing it now. Let me take them off. Okay. Yes, that with MK Ultra, according to Mr. Rodriguez, he said that what happens is that in order to do it, you have to have a certain type of mind that, in essence, breakable, and that you could re-sculpt it, and in order to uh, brainwash them, to make them do what you want them to do. And Mr. Rodriguez said that it takes it takes longer to do Black people, and so they rely on doing whites, and whites of a certain type of, they find that certain genome of particular groups are favorable of this mind control. And so I thought that was really something. I mean, because I'm just thinking mind control is mind control, but he specified, he says that it would cause for them to bring on board Blacks to be a part of this, how do you say, this secret space program. Because again, Mr. Rodriguez was in the secret space program, and when they first utilized him. They kidnapped him, and then they tricked him into an agreement, making it think like, oh yeah, uh, you'll be right back home the next day, and uh, blah blah blah. And so he said, oh okay, but again, he's only a 9-year-old child, and for them to do a verbal contract with a 9-year-old, it's really wrong. But he specified that's the first step, that they take them and then they do things on their body, and then they do this MK Ultra, which really utilizes torture in the worst way. They use sexual torture, physical torture, like um, hurting them, cutting them, raping, all types of evils, letting them see violence or murder, force them to eat and drink human, blood or feces. Or it's to mentally mess their minds over. And so Tony was saying that for them to attempt to do this to Black people, it's very difficult. And for them to have both, let's say, Blacks and whites, that it'll cost this government or whoever who's in charge of it much more money. And so they just keep it just one group, and they exclude Blacks. Thank God for that they're excluding Blacks, if this is true, because who would want to be tricked into doing a 20-year and back program of slavery? And so I thought that was really, really compelling. And I didn't expect to hear something like that. And but some questions that I have regarding it, or thoughts about it. See, I need my glasses right now. Okay. Well, on the internet, I only saw one person on the internet with regard to whether it be the secret space program or what's called the super soldier program. I believe both of them kind of go hand in hand, but again, that maybe it's really separate. But either way, in either program, I only saw one person. Again, I don't know how he classifies himself, racially, but I'm just going by physical appearance. That he looks like a person of mixed Black and white heritage, and I think it's his mother who is white or slash Caucasian of German ancestry, and the but I don't want to give the name but you just go on the internet, just type in super soldier, and you just kind of like go through, and you'll just see this one person. But again, this person, I believe, is of half of his genetics is German, so it would give reason if that's who they're looking for because of the compatibility. I don't understand why the mess. It's kind of hard for me to understand why. How is it that it's all aligned to just be German? It doesn't make sense to me. But so I'm wondering whether the Germans are the ones that initiated what they call the 20-year and back program, when they take you and then you utilize you for 20 years and then bring you back in time to when you were originally taken. And they didn't want to deal with, I guess, because of the German/Nazis, they don't want to deal with anybody that's genetically different than them, because everybody else might be considered beneath them. So I mean, I'm just speculating. I have no idea. I'm just really, free, uh, floating these ideas. What resonates with you? So I don't know whether they just want to deal with certain types of people. Um, who knows? So it was interesting when you go over the internet on YouTube and look on the Super Soldier or the Secret Space program that it's only one person of color or mixed race. Okay. My second point here was okay. I noticed that now there's an increase in interracial dating that's being encouraged, at least in New York City, where I live. I went to, I had to go visit family and I took the subway to visit them. And I noticed these new advertisements. And it was advertisement for a dating service. And this dating service um, had all types of different types of unions. And I noticed right off that they didn't have, like, they had all different scenarios, pictures of relationships. But I noticed none of the relationships included a black male with a black female. None. They did have black people. They did have one of each, a black male and a black female, but they were paired off with a white person. So the black male was paired off with a white female, and then the black female was paired with a white male. And so I started thinking about, that I noticed now that they're discouraging. In my opinion, I thought the ad was discouraging a black to date another black of the opposite sex, you know? And then I started thinking, and I'm leading up to something when I'm mentioning this. Um, you, some of you have heard of Meghan Markle. She is the actress who was in the TV series called Suits. And she's a woman of mixed ancestry, black and white ancestry. She has a white father and a mixed race looking mom, a mom who looks like of black and white ancestry. And this Meghan Markle had gotten engaged to Prince Harry, and Prince Harry is the member of the British royal family, and he is the son of the late Princess Diana. Okay, so this is kind of a new type of relationship for the British family to have someone of African ancestry that may be marrying into their family. And so I thought that was something. So I believe that things don't happen by accident. That's my paradigm, that things just, it's not a coincidence. And so things are being aligned up. Okay, so you have the advertisements in the train to encourage blacks to be with other people besides their own. And now they have a high profile person, Meghan Markle, who is engaged to marry Prince Harry. Okay. And again, I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. I'm just noticing trends. And that's all what this is about. People should marry who they love and hopefully that they love you back. Okay. And another thing I noticed, like, okay, I'm just trying to read my hand. Okay. And then I notice also when there is like, when there's an initial introduction into white society, that it's often linked or buffered by someone of mixed ancestry. And I give two examples. Okay, my first example is I think many of you would know this person, Alicia Keys. About 16 years ago, she was she received a lot of Grammy awards, and she and another person, India Irie, but like both of like they they both of them were, let's see, what do you call it? You know, like in the category, they say, okay, so and so so is okay being nominated, you know, and then only one of them could win in that category. So Alicia Keys and India Irie were like in competition, who's going to win in that category. You know, both of them are very talented people, but Alicia Keys, I think, won all the when those two were paired up to who's going to win. Alicia Keys won all of them. Okay, so it's not like they were both being um, suggested for it, and then India Irie won. No, that never happened. So it's interesting because Alicia Keys is biracial, a white mother and a black father. And then I also noticed, came to my memory, I should say, remember Miss America from the early 1980s? A woman by the name of Vanessa L. Well, she's known as Vanessa L. Williams. There's another person by the name of Vanessa Williams, but now this former Miss America, she goes by the name of Vanessa L. Williams. She also was a singer, but both of her parents are of Black ancestry, but of mixed ancestry, and she also has the blue eyes. So um, Vanessa L. Williams is the first known Black person of Black heritage to win Miss America. And so I thought it was really interesting that it seems like in history that when something is going to shift, let's say in the Americas, and when that shift is trying to attempt to initiate or bring on a person of African ancestry, I notice that it seems like a trend that they don't get a Black person who a darker skinned Black person or someone who looks like, you know, a pure African race person, but they get a mixed race person of Black and white heritage who is also fair in complexion. Someone could be of mixed ancestry and they be a dark complexion. So I noticed that they get a light skinned mixed race person. So I so I'm just noticing that a possible trend. And so what does that have to do with the MK Ultra? Okay. So I think that's my next question here. Let's see. Um, okay. I have here in my notes that the promotion of some whites against Blacks is due to not being able to. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's another question there. Okay. Yeah. Let me finish my thought now with regard to that the buffering between whites with Blacks. So you have this overlap and this initiation. And so I was just wondering, is this being initiated because, okay, now if if Mr. Rodriguez is saying that they want people who are of a particular genotype to do the 20 years and back, and if the population is getting more thin, you know, if they're not, let's say it's, for some reason it's hard for them to get candidates who could go through this 20 years and back. So wouldn't it be advantageous for the people who are in charge of this program to then get encourage in, interracial unions so that you have a greater gene pool to use in this program? That's what's clicking in me, you know. Oh, let me see here. There's a chat. It says, this is by CD Pierre. I listened to the interview then afterwards and checked out Diego Garcia. Yes. He's saying, wow, yes, I did the same thing because I wasn't familiar with Diego Garcia. The history of Diego Garcia is so vicious. Those poor people, the indigenous people of that island that's in the Indian Ocean, these look like Black people, tiny. They have a tiny frame. They look very tiny and very petite and everything. And they were pushed off their islands by Americans, and then they were given. Each family was given $6,000 for them to push them off and live on another island. They should have, maybe they could have said, okay, I'll lease it to you, just like with what they did with Hong Kong, and get paid a lot of money. It's unfortunate that it's so wicked. Yeah. Oh, so either way, I think it's something. If everything is about genetics, and when things start to trickle down, they're going to probably encourage more mixing, not because they love interracial unions, but because they're going to exploit the genetics in order so that they could kidnap more people. Yeah. So I just feel that there's a reason behind everything, especially when you have evil people who have a lust for what's not theirs. And it's just awful, you know? So this is just food for thought. What could be possibly motivating these social changes that are out there? And I don't think, again, it's for benevolence. Okay. And then, okay, my next question or statement regarding this, I write here, the promotion of some whites against Blacks are due to not being able to do MK Ultra on us, to use us as slaves in space, and that all has to do with sour grapes. Okay, what I meant when I said when I'm saying this is that, okay, there's a lot of propaganda, in my opinion, of that Blacks are still being targeted in the media in some form, and it's some form of deprecation. And I was thinking, now I'm wondering whether or not, like, if these Nazis are in control of this system, like Mr. Rodriguez, who I interviewed, he mentioned that these current day Nazis that are living on these planets out there, that they have this mindset that they are superior to others, and that they have the power to kidnap people and put them through this mind control thing so they can manipulate them and other things, if I understood him right. So if Black people are showing a superior ability to withstand MK Ultra, wouldn't that suggest that we have a superior brain to withstand that type of stress? That is actually it's something positive. It's showing that we have a very unique mind that can't be broken the same way. And so this is something positive and something superior. And no, I do not want to promote that some races or nationalities are superior to others. I do not mean that. And so, so if any of you thought that's where I'm going with this, no. What I'm trying to say is that we may be taught that we are inferior to certain groups, but be encouraged because we're actually very strong. We have a strong mind, and we withheld the horrors of the abuse that happened to us in the Americas for hundreds of years. So maybe that history has strengthened us as a people, so that when real mind control is being used on us, we can't be easily broken. So I think that's actually a good thing, So I'm just suggesting, hey, maybe part of the resentment towards Blacks today is that special ability we have to withstand. And so they're calling us the sour grapes. Those people who don't know what that expression, the sour grapes, it's based on a fable about this child and this wolf, and uh, the the wolf wanted these grapes. I hope I'm getting it right, but something that someone wanted these grapes, and when they finally got it, it's, oh well, I didn't really want this. They're sour grapes anyway. Something like that. Yeah. So it's saying that you really wanted these grapes, and then you poo-poo. I don't really want. Oh, they're probably sour. So I'm just putting out there that maybe that's part of what's happening to us. So it's a blessing, actually. Let other people have their sour grapes, so you just stand confident and strong in yourself. That's that other person's problem, if that's what their problem is, about the sour grape syndrome. Okay, the last thing I have here, I have a statement about the series, the citizens of the planet called Ceres. Mr. Rodriguez mentioned that the planet Ceres is colonized by these Nazis that escaped, and they were building these spacecraft, and they uh, escaped. They first went to what do you call it, Argentina, and to the Antarctic or the North Pole. I forget which one, and then they used their ship and they went to the moon, and then they found other places to live. And so Tony was telling me that that's where some of them are right now, on the planet called Ceres. And I was just thinking here that since World War II, it's maybe 3 or 4 generations past that time. And what can happen in 3 and 4 generations, I don't know how many of these families or individuals went to live in these new colonies with other German people, okay? But what could happen? Okay, now you have a limited gene pool, right? People are marrying and everybody's kind of related to each other, if that's what's happening. I would imagine if you have a colony, you want to reproduce quickly so that you have more hands to work the land, if it's land, or you need more hands to do work, and but if people then want to marry, they might be marrying their cousins, you know what I'm saying? And so the blood gets very thick. I think it's go with thick, but you're too closely related, and so what could happen if you're genetically too similar to another person? It can cause genetic diseases, you know? And so you don't want that. And, you could, you won't be strong anymore genetically, and you'll be prone to a lot of conditions because of it. So I was thinking to myself, so uh, is that I'm suggesting that maybe people who are, you notice like in the media, like they say that there is a human trafficking epidemic. People are being kidnapped and they don't know where they are. There's no signs of them. They just are disappearing. So I was wondering that maybe the kidnapping that's happening, or get this, you notice like in what's happening in Europe now? What's happening in Europe? What was being advertised, not advertised, but what was being publicized last year? Remember hearing about the crisis that's happened in Sweden and in Germany and in France? You have a whole um, lot of what they call refugees, the so-called undesirables, Arabs and Africans, and many of them are Muslim, entering into these very pristine Caucasian slash white nations. And there's a lot of rapes that are happening there, according to some people, Um, so I'm wondering what could happen. So if you set up a scenario or more than one scenario, let's say someone, let's say you want, because it's about free will. I keep hearing that expression. It's all about free will. What if someone sets up a scenario and says, we need more Germans or Northern Europeans to come to these colonies in space, where we're marrying our cousins and things like that, and our brothers and sisters, and this is not a good thing. We're going to perish genetically because the blood is, we're too related. So, but we need people to volunteer to come to these colonies and live underground. So, what do you do? Well, you set up a scenario, and what could be used? You bring in all these so-called socially undesirables from Africa and the Arab world, and frighten the Europeans that, oh, they're going to rape my daughter and this and that. We better leave. Where are they going to go? Hey, you can go to the space colonies in Ceres or the moon or Mars, etc. Okay. So what's the other thing here? So either they outright kidnap them, or you set up a scenario. And that is actually so possible, because remember that in the 1800s, that after slavery in the United States, the white government of the United States wanted to encourage European migration to the United States. So they set up a scenario, and Britain, they the British government had withheld that they limited the accessibility of food. The government was hoarding the food, and then they created like a drought. There was actually food there, but they withheld the food from the masses of people, and the people were starving. And they said, hey, we better maybe move to the Americas and get food. And so many of them left. Yes, hi, MC. Yeah, hi. But yes, you had also wrote, left to answer call. Can't get back in. Oh, wow. Okay. Someone was just saying that they couldn't get back in. Okay, I guess maybe you could, Sherry, that you could maybe press the refresh button because I'm still live on the internet. So maybe you do that. You go onto my channel, Spirit Journey, and press on videos, and you press um, the live, the live stream. Okay. Yeah, I hope you're able to get back on. So yes, so that's what happened in Ireland. Ireland, you have a lot of people from Ireland who live in the United States, and but many of them were fooled to come here. Many of them, thousands, and that was by design to force people to want to move. You just hold the food or whatever, or the jobs, and they're forced to relocate. So this adds a lot of sense. This makes a lot of sense to me about how why things are happening in the world. Again, I believe that things don't happen by chance. Things happen by design. Things are being socially crafted by design to make people think a certain way, act a certain way. They could have certain types of movies that are out there. And I realize, at least I feel that with Hollywood, I'm sorry, like with Hollywood, that you notice that certain types of movies are becoming more popular, and it's for a reason. Hollywood, in my opinion, is a medium to make people think. It's a program. Just like they say television, you watch a television program. I think that the movie industry is a medium for socially conditioning, brainwashing people, all those things to make you act a certain way. Because see, you have a whole big nation of several, was that over 300 million people living in the United States? Well, how are you going to control them? Well, you can control them through television, the movie industry, and even the music that I mentioned. Yeah, the music industry. You have all those three things. So you have the movies, television, and the music. And they want you to be introduced to a certain type of thinking, a way of behaving. And then if they want to, they can make you angry when they want you to. And again, if this thing is real, if Tony Rodriguez, who I interviewed the other day, is information was accurate about this secret space program, couldn't they at any time, because once you become, let's say, when you get arrested and you're in prison, the U.S. government can then use you as a slave. And so, if you're a slave, they can put you through the MK Ultra, the 20-year and back program. And again, they could, you do the time and then they bring you back in time, maybe just 24 hours after gap in between. And so you don't really realize you lost time. And they could erase your memory. And they could be doing this. Why is the US so? I think the US has the largest prison system, the largest number of prisoners. And this is an industrialized nation. Yet we have one of the, if not the largest, number of people in prison and jail. It's a reason for that. And if you have people of this Germanic background, and again, the U.S., I remember in my school, the college I went to, there was this large book. It's a book on the demographics of this country, of the United States. And when I looked at it, German was the largest ethnic group of the country. I was amazed. So it's not even British, but Germany. And so, but now you're getting more people from other parts of the world. And maybe so the ability to get these genetics, if people are mixing and all that, then maybe that gene pool is getting thinner and thinner, amongst the German population. But if people are, I don't know, but it's food for thought. So again, you could manipulate it. You can then say, okay, let's do more genetic manipulation and increase the number of people of this particular group. And again, they could be setting up people to get arrested for anything. They can set. I mean, you've heard of it. I mean, we've always heard about blacks who are being stopped in their cars and accused of doing something, but they're also doing whites too. There are a lot of poor whites, and if they live in an area where there's no blacks, but they need to get free labor, they can trip up some European Americans, and once they get in the prison system, and if this thing is true about the how they're able to kidnap people and send them to do a 20-year and return. And don't you notice that? See, don't you notice now there are a lot of troubled people out there? At least like in New York City, I've made mention of this many times last year in my videos, that there's a growing number of poor whites that are living on the street in New York City, in Manhattan. And they're from other states. They're not from here. Yeah, and they have their pit bulls with them on the sidewalk for protection. And I'm wondering what's going on. They look like people who are down and out. That maybe there might have been a drug addiction, history, but things are happening, and I'm seeing that on one level, people might think that only blacks are being targeted, but I'm seeing by experience that I'm seeing that there's a growing number and awareness that whites also are being targeted, and they're being targeted for a reason. Evil people do evil things, and evil people ultimately aren't going to say, I'm only wanting to exploit this one particular group. No, an evil person in nature is going to hate their own too. That's how it goes. You can't just say, oh, well, I only hate certain peoples. So that's why I have to really check myself, because sometimes in anger, you might feel that, oh, I don't like what's going on, the injustices, or I don't like so and so anymore. So you have to check yourself and say, hey, you have to be able to love yourself and to respect all humanity. Yes, hi. Hello, Costco Kelly. Yes. Yeah, oh, I'm glad that MC is back. Yes, very nice. Yes, so yeah, I see that you can't just. I mean, it's hard. I'm only human, and in this spirit journey of mine, those who have been following me along, you see certain things that I'm going through, and um, I feel myself changing, and after I had the interview with Mr. Rodriguez, um, I was very excited about doing the interview. I loved it, but I felt that my emotions too. At one point, I felt a little edgy, um, and I think the edginess was due to the reality of what could really be going on in this planet, that people are being kidnapped. And it's a big paradigm shift. But I'm starting to see more and more discussions about what they call the how do you call it? Disclosure program. The disclosure about possible ETs, and even the Catholic Church is starting to admit, hey, it's a possibility. They all know what the truth is. They all know. So it is what it is. Again, I don't know what's out there, but I have disclosed that I do meditations. I don't do it every day. And I think, and as I shared before, sometimes I could get a little, maybe a little scared. And, then I'm processing what I might have experienced. And I told you that I had did a prayer of intent before the meditation, and I saw what looked like the moon. Yeah, my prayer of intention for the meditation was to view the moon, and it was just a means of focusing, and with that focus intent, that something be manifested, awareness about the moon. It's about getting information. I feel that, I have here in my coffee table, right behind me, tons and tons of books. And I kind of stopped reading them because I was getting overwhelmed, and I stopped reading them because it's always somebody else's story. And I said, no, that because then it's always going to be somebody's story. And I wanted something experiential, you know, um, that my knowing I wanted based on my knowledge because I experienced something, I saw something, or I heard something, something profound. No, I don't want to be kidnapped or anything like that. But I thought, okay, meditation, if the universe and its wisdom is real, and I say it like that because I was raised to think like most people that what's real is only things that you can see, feel, hear, and nothing metaphysical. So I'm learning that, hey, there's a possibility in the metaphysics. And I had experiences of things I cannot explain, So I said, let me try it. Let me see if this meditation works. What does it do for me? And can I receive information, something, an experience of my own rather than somebody else's experience? And so I saw something. I saw what looked like the moon and all these craters. And then I remember seeing what looked like a being, and the person's head was down. So you just see like the back of the head and the shoulders. At least that's what it looked like to me. And I remember saying to myself, I said, uh-oh, that looks like a person. I hope they don't stand up. Yeah. I mean, I stayed calm and everything, but I see this thing, and I said to myself, I'm not sure whether I'm ready to see that. But yeah, I saw something, and it was three-dimensional, and so I see this. There's things beyond the natural. Some people might say, "Oh, it's just your imagination." Okay, granted. But what is imagination? And what is something, an imagination that you actually see it three-dimensional and your eyes are closed? What is that? I mean, I could daydream. A daydream is not the same as actually seeing something three-dimensional, full color, as if it's right there. It's something. Some people are trained to do certain things, to experience certain things. Like some people, they've had what they call astral projection. And I did attend a class 2 years ago on how to do astral projection. And I did not astral project, but my body did do the vibration. And at one point, my arm, it felt like I'm lying on my back and I'm with other people, but I felt my arm go fling back like that and then back again. Now, in the natural, I know I personally didn't do that with my natural arm because there's someone right next to me and I would have hit them. But I think what happened was what they call the astral body did that. It was trying to get itself out. I think that's what happened because I didn't actually like feel my hand hit the ground, but you feel that thing. It did it real fast and hard. Yeah. So I believe that the ability to astral project is true. Again, I personally did not do that, but one of the people there did did mention when she went at home and she tried the experiment. I mean, the exercise at home. She said she did it. She lives in an apartment building and she walked through the door and into the elevator, and she experienced it. So, hey, has any of you ever what they call astral project? Let me know. And have any of you ever meditated and with your eyes closed, see something as if you're looking with your eyes open? Let me know because I would love your feedback about things like this. And I noticed something else. Sometimes when I'm meditating and my eyes are closed, sometimes like my vision, like it looks like a white screen, like a bright white cloud over my whole vision, with the eyes closed. And one time when that happened, I thought, oh, somehow did the light come on in my room? And this is at nighttime. And so I opened my eyes thinking maybe my eyes were really open. No, the room was pitch black. It was really weird. Any of you who understand these type of things, you can share it in the chat, because again, I don't know everything and I have not experienced everything, but I know that some people may be knowledgeable about certain things with meditation and what could happen when you meditate and the type of things that you see. Again, with me, it always seems like a cloud. Sometimes it's like a little small cloud, and then it might grow. It looks like it's coming towards me, or sometimes it looks like it's moving away from me, and then it just keeps on reproducing itself and moving away, another cloud form, and then move away. So let me know what you see, how you start to see things when you start to meditate. And I notice with the cloud or the light that I see that manifests, that it's that light that then changes shape and it forms a three-dimensional thing. As in this case, the what looked like the moon and everything. Wait a minute. I'm just thinking. Maybe that thing it just appeared to me. That it might have initially had the cloud, but it just boom. Let me know what you think. Okay, some CD Pierce says the strange disappearance of Dr. Timothy Cunningham. Okay, I don't know who Dr. Timothy Cunningham is. Could you elaborate about this person, CD Pierre? I don't know that person. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, life is something else. Life is something else, and I really want to. Um, I really have to get into my meditation thing again. I have to learn to overcome my fears. So I realized that the truth can be spooky, you know, but I just have to, I think maybe if I just, as I say, give a prayer of protection, and that that you don't want to leave you so like it's like jumping into a pool and you're not um, acclimated to the water. It could kind of shock you a little bit. So you kind of tell yourself, prayer of intent, and then prayer of protection also. Because again, you're opening up a channel, so to speak. And when that door is open, sometimes something undesirable may wish to enter into your life, and you don't want that. No, I don't want anything. I don't want anything of possession, or no. I guess I'm a bit of a control freak in that aspect. Yeah, I feel you should always be in control over your thoughts and your body, you know. And I think that's why I really want to be careful, and if possible, to talk to people who have experienced these things. That's also why I'm watching all these types of videos, because I want to understand, you know. So any thoughts about any? Does anyone have any comments that they wish to share regarding the interview? For those who are watching now, that let you could watch my video that I did with Tony Rodriguez. It's a live video that I did, a live stream that I did. So those of you who did see it, after this video, you could go on my channel and look for the interview with Mr. Tony Rodriguez. And do any of you have any messages or questions that you wish to ask Mr. Rodriguez? Because again, I wrote some other questions based on the interview of the new questions I have that I will like to present to him. I think I want to wait like a month and have another interview with him. And I think the next interview that I'll do with Tony, if he's up for it, to really then get specific with regard to, think of the first interview with him like an introduction to the whole subject of the secret space program, and then the second interview to be like a detailed question and answer of his experiences. Yeah, I think he was a really, really nice individual. He's consistent, um, and he's patient. He didn't have to stay that long on the show, but the time flew. I didn't have a watch or anything like that, but I commend him for his bravery to share the type of information that he gave. And again, as I mentioned in that live stream, that the subject that he discusses to introduce my audience, my viewership and my subscribership of the subject, this new topic for many of you about outer space and these abductions that are happening. And so it has to start somewhere. And so I want us to know. Most of my viewerships are people from the Black community, and most of us, most of the at least the subscribers are from the United States. So it's not something that's discussed in the Black community, and so I think it's important for us to know, because as I shared with Mr. Rodriguez, that you have a lot of weird things that happen within the Black community. You have so much emotional stresses that happen, and I feel that something is causing it. And I'm wondering, hey, are we being what they call targeted individuals? Are they doing abductions on us? What's going on? Something is happening, and I think something is happening all over the world and making people act and behave in certain manners that are dangerous. So, I mean, I don't know, but the more we know, the more we can teach our children, our relatives, our neighbors. So just to keep abreast of of possibilities. I'm not saying that this is the only reason why certain things happens in our communities, but it could be a portion of what could be happening. And again, as I mentioned earlier about why the media is now encouraging interracial unions and to have children being a product of an interracial union, and that might be because they need more genetic material that could be used in this 20 years and back program. If they're getting a lower and lower percentage of people with that genetics, then you got to create it from somewhere. And again, now what was the other thing? The peoples on these colonies in space who are of German ancestry. Now, if they have the same old genetics from 3 or 4 generations ago, people are going to be marrying with their relatives. And again, that's dangerous. So you want to encourage a movement of people to want to go out there. And a method to do that is make them want to leave where they are. So you create a scenario of these, what do you call these migrants coming there and frightening them and doing, sexual violations over there. You want to move. And I discussed that that's what they did in Ireland. Made the people think there was a food shortage, and then boom, they came to the U.S. So it's just a suggestion that a speculation, and it's a possibility that could be a motivation of why these things are occurring. So I if you guys don't have any questions, I think I'll end this live stream. And I thank you, loyal viewers out there who are really encouraging me to do these videos. It means a lot to me. It encourages me, and it makes me feel good. And I want to make you guys feeling positive as well, and especially for the weekend and everything. Some of you may not want to go outside because it's, some of the things and dangers that could happen outside, but you want to have a good time. You want to hear conversation with no cursing, whatever. You want ideas that might stimulate your own thinking. At least that's my motive in this as well, to motivate you to think beyond the box, think outside of the box, and each one, teach me. So, yeah, that's all that I wish to say. And again, I thank you guys for being there for me for my first interview with Mr. Tony Rodriguez, and for this live stream. You make this weekend really exciting for me. So thank you again for watching. And for those who didn't see the interview with Mr. Tony Rodriguez, who was a survivor of the 20 years and back enslavement in the secret space program, it's a must-watch video. Okay. So take care and enjoy the rest of your evening, and may it be a safe one for you. Bye bye.